The in-love experience has a 2-year lifespan. We come down off that. And that's why in marriage, because our culture has so emphasized this love thing, that when they come down off that high and they lose those positive feelings, now they think, oh no, I married the wrong person. This is not working.
Today's guest, Dr. Gary Chapman, author of the best-selling book, The 5 Love Languages. He's a counselor, speaker, and one of the most trusted voices on love and connection today.
Briefly describe the 5 love languages.
Yeah, well, the basic idea is that what makes one person feel loved does not make another person feel loved. And we often think, if they would love me the way I'm loving them, but they're not loving me the way I'm loving them. So, and I discovered this because many times couples would come into my office and one of them would say, I just feel like he doesn't love me or she doesn't love me. And the other one would say, I don't understand that. I do this and this and this and this. Why would you not feel loved? And I realized that people were sincere. They were loving the other person, but it was not in a way that the other person would feel the love.
Yeah.
And so eventually I just read through several years of notes that I made and asked myself, when someone said, I feel like my spouse doesn't love me, what did they want? What were they complaining about? And their answers fell into 5 categories. And I later called them the 5 love languages. And I started using that in my counseling. If you want her to feel loved, you've got to learn to express love in her love language. If you want him to feel love, you've got to learn his language. And the 5 love languages are words of affirmation. You look nice in that outfit. just positive words to the other person.
Yeah.
And another love language is acts of service, doing something for the other person. In a marriage, that would be things like cooking meals, washing dishes, vacuuming floors, walking the dog, washing the car, mowing the grass, anything that you know they would like for you to do. There's an old saying, actions speak louder than words. If this is their love language, actions will speak louder than words. Yeah. And then there's gifts. It's universal to give gifts as an expression of love. The gift says, they were thinking about me. Look what they got from me. And the gift doesn't have to be expensive. We've always said it's the thought that counts. You were thinking about me and you bought me a gift. And then there's quality time. Giving the other person your undivided attention. Just what we're doing right now. You're giving me your full attention, I'm giving you my full attention. So it's sitting down with the person, not going to the computer, not answering the phone, but give them your undivided attention. And then number 5 is physical touch, affirming touches. Depending on the relationship, it can be a high five, a pat on the back, or in a marriage, it can be a hug, it can be a kiss. So out of those 5, each of us has what I call a primary love language. And if you don't speak the primary love language of the other person, they will not feel loved, even though you're speaking one of these other languages. And so what it does is helps couples in a marriage, for example, learn how to meet each other's need for emotional love. Because almost everyone agrees, one of our deepest emotional needs is the need to feel loved. Yeah. And this helps you do it effectively. So that's the basic concept.
So growing up, now that you have experienced everything, I mean, all the 5 love languages, could you pinpoint this is what my parents were to me, whether it's words of affirmation, that's what, like their love language was to me, one, or were there multiple growing up that you experienced?
Well, of course, I knew nothing about love languages as a child growing up. Looking back on it, I think my parents spoke pretty much all these languages. I know they gave me words of affirmation. I know they did acts of service for me. I know they gave me gifts. And there were times we had long conversations together, and they gave me affirming touches. So I did not grow up feeling unloved. I grew up feeling loved. And when I talk to parents, I say, please don't hear me saying that you only speak the child's primary love language. You give heavy doses of the primary language, but speak the other 4, because we would like that child to learn how to receive love and later give love in all 5 languages. That's the healthiest adult. The person who received all 5 and now they give all 5. If you didn't receive some of these, then you'll have to learn them as an adult. So, I was fortunate enough to grow up in a home where my parents spoke all 5. They would not have called them love languages. They were just loving me.
That's just the way they were.
That's right.
After I read your book, I could pinpoint some of the things and some of the ones that, some of the love languages that I spoke to my girlfriend. And I was like, okay, I can see that it's harder. I don't know if it's the case for everybody, but it was easier to see what her love language was as opposed to mine. I don't know if that was, but like for her, for example, it was spending quality time together, gifts. But like you said, it doesn't have to be something expensive. I mean, she's told me plenty of times you can pick out a flower from the backyard and that's all I need. Be happy. In my mind, I've always had an excuse, and I said, I don't have the money, I don't want to spend $20 on flowers. And she's like, I told you can just pick me a flower from back there. And then another one was, and this is probably the biggest one that I still struggle with today, is quality time. Because it's like, I'm so busy. I always have something on my schedule. And then she's like, well, you need to spend time with me. And I'm like, but I see you all the time.
Quality time is not being in the same room together. Quality time is giving them your full attention. You see, many times dating couples, married couples, they're together a lot, doing a bunch of stuff. But quality time is when you're focused on each other, not something else out there, not just watching a TV program together. Someone else has your attention. Now, after the program's over, if you watch a show on TV and then you start talking about it, what can we learn from that? Or what did you think about that? Now, that's quality time. So we have to make quality time. And you're right. When you're busy, that can be a hard one to speak.
At Juliant, we're with you at every milestone. And your brightest dreams never have to fade. At Juliant, we help you shine. That's brighter banking. Juliant Federal Credit Union.
Speak.
Yeah, it's tough because I'm like, I have to do this, and that. And she wants me to spend time with her. And I'm like, all right, let me try and narrow my schedule down a little bit and see if I can do that. And that is so hard.
But if you don't, she's getting the feeling he doesn't really love me. If he loved me, he'd make time for me.
And I've worked on it. I've gotten better at it. I mean, I still have work to do, but I tried to continue. But why do you think it's so important for us to learn how to speak those love languages to others, whether it's our spouse or even just a coworker?
Well, I think because we're human, and humans have the need to feel loved. In fact, almost everyone agrees that that's one of our deepest emotional needs, the need to feel loved. And when you fall in love, that need is met. But that's not permanent. The in-love experience has a 2-year lifespan, average. We come down off that. And that's why in marriage, because our culture has so emphasized this love thing, that when they come down off that high and they lose those positive feelings, now they think, oh no, I married the wrong person. This is not working. If they understand the love language and they choose to speak each other's language, they still meet that need. I call it the love tank. The love tank fills up because they're speaking each other's language. And this has saved literally thousands, perhaps millions of marriages. I have people tell me all the time, that book on the 5 love languages saved my marriage 20 years ago. The book's been out over 30 years. We were at the point of giving up. We lost all the positive feelings. We just kind of argued with each other. And we read the book and the lights came on. And we realized we've been missing each other emotionally. and we took the quiz and we learned each other's language and we started speaking it, it literally saved our marriage. So I think that's why it's so important, whether it's a child or whether it's an adult, to feel loved by the significant people in your life meets one of our deepest emotional needs. All the rest of life is easier to process if we feel loved.
Mm-hmm. What do you think is one of the hardest thing about learning to speak the love language of others?
Well, I think if you did not receive one of these love languages growing up, and you find out the other person's language is something you never received, that's the hardest to learn. But here's the good news. You can learn to speak these languages as an adult, even if you didn't receive them as a child. For example, I had a husband say to me, my wife's love language is words of affirmation. I don't know how to do that. I never received words of affirmation growing up. All I remember, my parents told me I was lazy and I was never going to amount to anything. I don't know how to say positive words. And I said to him, well, you are where you are. We can't change our history. But I said, here's the good news. You can learn to speak this language as an adult. I said, for example, can you tell me 3 things that your wife is good at? He said, well, she's a good cook, and she's a good school teacher, and she's a good mother. I wrote those 3 words down. And out beside each one of them, I wrote 2 or 3 sentences. Like on the food, something like, honey, I haven't told you this, but I really appreciate all the meals you fix for us. You're a good cook. And I wrote out 2 or 3 sentences on each of them. I said, now I want you to take this home. Twice a day, get in a room by yourself and read these words out loud so you hear yourself saying these words. And I said, I hope when you come back next week, you can say them to me without looking at your notes. He said, oh, okay. Well, they came back and he said them. I said, okay, now here's your assignment. The next 3 weeks, I want you to give her one of these each week. I don't care what order, I don't care what day of the week, but you give her one of these each week. I said, if you want to on the first one, you don't even have to be looking at her. You can just walk up behind her. She's looking the other way and just say one of them. Yeah. He said, oh man, I hope I can do this. I said, listen, you just did it to me. You just shared them to me. You can share them with her. So he did, and he came back, and I said, okay, how'd it go? He said, well, I did it. And I said, how'd she respond? He said, on the 3rd week, she said to me, what is going on with you? I have never heard you give me so many compliments. I said, what did you say? He said, well, I told her, honey, we read that book, we took the quiz, your language is words of affirmation, and I'm just trying to learn how to put my love into words. And she said, oh, that is so sweet. So we can learn these languages, but it's a learning process if you didn't receive them growing up.
Yeah. When I first started to give my girlfriend some words of affirmation, I felt weird. It felt awkward. It was like, I can't really explain the feeling. It was just like, that seems so weird for me to say that.
Yeah, it's kind of unnatural for you. Yeah.
But what do you think is one of the hardest things about getting your spouse or someone else to speak your love language?
Well, ideally, of course, both of you read the book or you get the concept. You take the quiz. You learn each other's language. So now you know at least what would be most important for them. And then it's a matter of attitude. Attitude is a fixed way of thinking. And the attitude of love is, I want to enrich your life. I want to help you become the person you'd like to become. It's an attitude. So if I have an attitude of love, now I have information on how to best meet their need for love. If you don't have an attitude of love, which we don't have by nature we're all self-centered. And so we either lean, as adults, we lean toward having an attitude of love or an attitude of selfishness. And selfishness in relationships is, and we may not say this, but our attitude is, I'm in this relationship for you to make me happy. You don't make me happy, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
It's selfishness. So if two selfish people will never have a good relationship, but two people with an attitude of love will have a positive relationship.